Hello, welcome back to my allotment here at the end of August. I apologise that this video is probably coming to you a little bit later than it usually would. I've just had a really hectic and busy month and the weather hasn't been too great for filming. At the start of August we did have a lot of glorious sunshine and really warm, hot temperatures, bit of a summer heat wave which was lovely. But then as we went into the middle of the month we had some really stormy weather. It's been really windy, so I've been running around making sure all my dahlias, my tall plants are all supported so that they wouldn't fall over in the wind. We had Storm Francis and Storm Ellen that caused a little bit of havoc. Thankfully my plot survived pretty well because I've got such thick hedges around the outsides. So it's been really wet and windy and it's now getting really cool. In fact, it's the bank holiday this weekend and they think it's going to be the coldest bank holiday in August for 50 years. It's not that warm at all today. In fact, temperatures tonight are going to drop to about 7, which is really unheard of for this time of the year. So I'll be closing up my polytunnel door because the chilies and the tomatoes really won't like that cold weather and it might slow down the ripening of the fruit. So yeah, we're having seen a little bit of a cooler end of August. In terms of the plot this month, I've just been doing a lot of weeding, a lot of tidying up and just really getting the finishing touches on all the little projects that I've been doing. So the bottom end of the allotment is looking really tidy. That trellis, the fencing panel that I put up this year, I've now underplanted that with lots of other plants. It's all filling out really nicely. And the wildlife corner, I've put some new plants in there as well. So that's looking gorgeous as it comes into its summer bloom. And I've just been harvesting lots of food, particularly the raspberries. The autumn raspberries are fruiting like crazy at the moment. The tomatoes are now ripening thick and fast. I've also had lots of peas. It's been a fantastic year for peas. I think because we had quite a bit of wet weather, they've just really done well. And yeah, there's so much to see in terms of the flowers and the crops. I might get some harvests in today, might pick some dahlias as well, and we'll just go around and see what's ready and eat some food and pick it as we go. So let's go up to the gate and start the August tour. Let's go through the gate, see what's waiting for us. You know, the wind's really starting to pick up now and it's definitely feeling a little bit autumnal in these last few days, with the temperatures dropping and all the wind. And here's my plot at the moment. The buddleia over here, they're just starting to go over now. This is probably the last one in bloom. I've seen lots of butterflies and even moths. I've been on the allotment quite late recently and you get to see all the moths around and that's been really interesting to see them, as well as all the bats. I've had lots of bats. I think it's their mating season in September. Here's the pond area, lots of duckweed in the pond at the moment. But I've seen my frog, he's back. A really big frog that likes to visit my pond. Just below the tree I've got some straw flowers in a pot. Do love this bright orange colour. Pelargonium table. They're all looking really happy at the moment. They've had plenty of water with all the rain. And this one is a new addition. Really unusual foliage on that one. Tricolour. Oh, my Sarracenia. The picture's obviously got so heavy, look, with water. It's tipped over. There we go. As we move further down, I've got this beautiful cosmos. I wish I grew more of these. It's just absolutely gorgeous, those petals. Like little foxglove petals. Don't forget to deadhead them. It's been a busy month for deadheading. You want to take it all the way down the stem, cut it off here, and that'll encourage all of the other ones to bloom. My leeks this month have put on an absolute huge growth spurt. They're looking really quite thick now, really bulking up. So that's going to keep me going through the winter months. I've just spotted a little bit of rust and hopefully it won't get too bad. And I'm also hoping that we don't have any allium leaf miner. That one doesn't look so good, the way it's splitting like that. I'll keep a close eye on these. Have you noticed anything different about my strawberry beds? There's no more bindweed. I got rid of it for now, at least. I had a really good weeding session and it looks so much better. I feel better, and I've also mulched all of my paths with a fresh layer of wood chip, which instantly makes it look real slick and nice. I get my wood chip free from my local tree surgeon. Always chip him a bit of money though for his time, but yeah, it's a really good way of giving your plot an instant little makeover. And over at my sweet corn, the plants are doing really well, and I'm so happy because I don't always grow sweet corn. I don't grow it every year, and it's just been really good to grow again. And the silks are just turning brown now, which means they're almost ready for harvest, but I think it'll be about another week or so. And what I'll do is I'll peel this back and pierce one of the kernels with my thumbnail, and hopefully if you get a nice milky liquid come out, then that's a good sign that they're ready for harvest. I've spaced the plants a little bit closer than what you're recommended, really. It's probably about 1.5 foot, 18 inches spacing on these, and they've not really suffered. They're growing really good sized cobs. And this is underneath my fig tree, which, do you remember last month I was having problems with the leaves? They were starting to turn a little bit rusty and yellow. Still not quite sure what it was, and some of them have all dropped off. But what I've done is I've removed some of the erigeron that's planted underneath, because I think it might have been suffering a little bit of underwatering. Gave it a good feed every week, and now look, we've got some new leaves coming out. So it's still alive, it's still okay, just took a little bit of a suffer with all the crazy weather changes that we're having. Oh, something I haven't shown you yet. Next to my sweet corn, I've got a sunflower plant. Now, this sunflower is one that was given to me by my plot neighbour Zoran, whose greenhouse I borrowed the other year. He gave me some little plants, some seedlings in springtime, and says, here, have some sunflowers, they're dwarf. I thought, oh great. So I planted some underneath my shed, and I thought they'd reach maybe 4 foot high, 5 foot high maybe, and there it is, all the way up there. What, about 7 foot at least? It's got one big flower on at the top, and it's also got lots of side shoots coming off with more flower buds appearing. So I've done well to keep this upright during the 2 storms that we had, considering the wind blows in this direction, so it was leaning over quite a bit one day, but I've firmed it back down again. I don't have any stakes, see, look, that are big or strong enough, but I have put a brick underneath the at the base of the plant, so that if it does start to lean over, the brick is actually supporting it a bit. So yeah, hopefully it will survive and we'll see it in full bloom in a few weeks. But yeah, pretty chuffed with my dwarf plant, so thank you, Zoran. My old water bird bath filled with some lovely alpines. It's looking rather nice this time of year with the sedum in bloom, that bright pink. The bees really love that. The rhubarb's starting to die back now. I just let the leaves die naturally, turn yellow like that one, and then they'll either go on the compost bin or left to rot on the floor to enrich the soil. And down this path I'm blocked by my raspberry canes. Rather embarrassingly, I didn't support them, and I remember in previous years they didn't really need that much support, but I think with all the wind that we've had, and they've been such a prolific cropper at the moment, that all the weight is pulling them down, especially after all the wind and the rain. So I need to support these, especially as we've still got lots of fruit coming. But oh my god, I need to come and pick some of these now. This is Joan J, my absolute favourite. Oh, well, this one's falling apart, so I need to eat it. I don't really buy strawberries from the supermarkets that much because they don't have much flavour. I don't know about you. I always find they don't really have a lot of flavour at all. They're just really watery and bland. My mouth is actually salivating because they're so good. Honestly, if you are planning on buying an autumn fruiting variety of raspberry. Try Joan J. She's an absolute trooper, really good cropper, heavy, big, delicious, sweet fruit, and such a depth of flavour as well. Please try Joan J. And there we have a nice bowl of Joan J raspberries and some blackberries from the hedge. Most of the blackberries are over now, but we've got lots more raspberries to come, including the all gold, the yellow version. That's still ready to fruit. I like to eat mine just as they are, or on top of ice cream or natural yogurt for breakfast. The apple tree is absolutely brimming with fruit. In fact, I might even harvest a few today because they should be ready soon, especially these ones on the outside. They'll ripen first, and we just give them a little twist. Oh, hello fly. And you know what, it's not coming off that easily yet, which means it's not quite ready. I know my tree is usually ready around the middle of September, so I've got another week or two to wait really. But the hops is growing all through it. Now, I don't brew my own beer, I don't even drink beer, but it does look very pretty as a decoration around the home. And as we go down to the wildlife corner this month, as you can see, I've potted up a new plant, and this grass, I saw it in the nursery and it was just so beautiful. That plummy purple colour going through this lovely tassel, I just couldn't resist it, so I've bought that as it matches some of the dahlias that I've also planted in pots. Some of the flowers aren't quite out yet, but they've got this gorgeous dark foliage, and I've got 3 of those, 1, 2, 3, and we've also got lots of cosmos in bloom. And I've also put those logs down there at the back for the insects to hide in. I'm going to fill them like bug hotels with lots of sticks and pine cones and things. So yes, it's all filling out rather nicely here. And as we go further down, I got some cosmos plants quite cheap. So I filled this space with lots of white ones to brighten up that little corner. I need to work on this area next year and get some more perennials in, so that I don't have to worry about sowing too many seeds. Look at all those apples. I'm going to be making lots of preserves in the next month. Oh look, there's a caterpillar. Oh, you're a funky one. So many apples. Unfortunately, I don't know the variety. Somebody once told me it was Egremont russet, which I've come to realise I don't think it is that one. If you know an apple expert, oh, mind the caterpillar, I'd love to know. It's sort of similar to, I think it's a Cox, but it's quite a rusted colour with sort of brownish, bronzish colouring. But yeah, it's going to be another bumper year for my little tree. This Brunera is looking gorgeous with that silvery foliage. This will be coming back year after year. It's quite shade loving, so I'm really glad I got this year and planted it here. And I've also just splurged a little bit on one of my favourite perennial plants for autumn, and this is a Japanese anemone. And I love it because you get this gorgeous foliage at the bottom. I do like a nice foliage plant, and it's also got really cute little buds before it blooms. The flowers are quite similar to cosmos, they're very open, so the bees just absolutely love them. Whoopsie, well, I've just knocked that one off. But then even once the flowers do fall off, they make these little, bare sort of pom-poms, and they keep those, I think, throughout winter. So there's just a beautiful plant, and this is going to get much taller and bulk out and slowly spread a little. But I bought 3 plants from my local nursery. Big shout out to Moores, love you guys. And I've got them here in my wildlife corner, and I'm just looking forward to them really filling out over the years. Oh, the wind's picking up and it's starting to get a little bit wet. Hope it's not going to rain. But here's the plot from the lower end. Look at my straw flowers. They've done so well. And I've got a lot of these to pick as well today. Whoops, sorry, fly. And I'm going to do a separate video to show you how I dry them and how I make my flower decorations. So you can look forward to that in the next couple of months. Uh-oh, we've had a sunflower go over. Now this bed down here next to my shed has been a bit of a learning curve. Ignore the mess at the bottom of the shed. It's been a bit of a learning curve this year because it doesn't get as much sunlight as I thought it did because of the shed, and I've got trees on the opposite side. The sunflowers aren't blooming yet, apart from this one that's gone over in the wind. That's what it looks like. So basically, yeah, the plants have gone a bit leggy and they've struggled a bit with the lack of sunlight, so I need to rethink the plan for this one. More shade loving crops, might get a little chard in there for next year, or just some sort of heucheras and ferns, that kind of thing. But obviously I've still got my spring bulbs in there and they do really well. Over here we've got my salad bed, a new addition for this year. I've replaced all of the lettuce plants with this chard that I absolutely love. Look at that colour. That's the peppermint chard, bright pink stems, and then we've got some beetroot behind it and lots of spinach as well at the back. But this area here, look, it's all tidied pretty much. I mean, there's still a few bits to sort out at the back, but you know, this area has been such a huge project this year to get it all tidy and in use. It was a bit of a dumping ground and a bit of a mess, and now I have the salad bed, my compost bin down in the corner, this new bed for my straw flowers, and also the trellis that has been a fantastic project to work on. And if you think back to how this used to look, it was quite a mess and just not being used, so I'm really pleased with the outcome of this one. Let's have a little look at the trellis and how that's come on. This stormy weather's really coming back now, but so I've actually underplanted this whole trellis now with lots of different plants. This one hasn't made it into the ground just yet, but this is my catmint, so it's Nepeta, and it has a beautiful spike of purple flower similar to lavender. It's got a nice silvery foliage, which has been my theme for this area. I want it quite bright because it's quite a dark end of the allotment, so I'm using lots of whitish silvery colours. That there is the lamb's ear, which is a really soft leaf. We've got some hostas, we've got some hardy geraniums. This one has a nice pink flower. It's really raining. And I've repeated some of this pattern further down. We've also got this Persicaria, which is a really vibrant, contrasting foliage with a nice arrow shape. And yeah, we've just continued the theme down. And we've also got a planter that I've planted up with some Erigeron. And I'm going to go run and take shelter for a minute because it's really quite wet. Okay, we had a bit of rain, but it seems to have died off for now. But my canna is absolutely loving it. I had to stake it because of the high wind, because look what we've got. It's given me some flowers. I keep deadheading them, just pulling them off like that. And that way we'll keep getting more. But we've got another spike here on the way. And I'm just amazed. I keep feeding it, so that's probably why it's given me some blooms. Really wasn't expecting it. I've not grown a canna before, but the variegated one has suffered a bit because it kept throwing up new leaves with almost full variegation, almost fully white leaves, which isn't going to do the plant any good because it doesn't contain chlorophyll. So I've cut it back a little bit, and something's also been eating this one. So yeah, that one's not doing as well. But also my Colocasia, my big round tropical elephant ear plant, look at it, it's so big. Just look at the size of it, it's so big. I'm really loving my tropical plants sort of out on the allotment this year, and I'm just so impressed with my Colocasia. It's even got another new leaf coming, which might be even bigger than this one. I just can't get over the size. This is going to overwinter indoors in my home because it's not frost tolerant, so it'll become a house plant over the winter months, and I'm just hoping it keeps all of these big leaves because I'm going to quite enjoy having this inside my home. I just want to come down here quickly to show you this little border. Lots of cosmos that aren't in bloom yet, but take a look at this dahlia. This is the Pen Hill watermelon. They don't call them dinner plate dahlias for nothing, and this one is as big as my head. It's such a showstopper. Okay, well, I'm back down at the carrot bed. I'm gonna harvest some carrots. My potatoes, I was a bit worried about blight, and all of the foliage got blown around in all of the wind, so I've cut the foliage right back. And what that'll actually do is it'll toughen up the skins on the potatoes so they'll store better in the long run. And then behind there we've got my courgette plants that are looking so much healthier now. That speckling on the leaf is due to the variety. That is not mildew, although I do have mildew on some of my squash plants. But look, I've got lots more courgettes to pick. And in this bed here we've got a mix of my parsnips, some beetroot, and also some turnips, which I've completely forgotten about. But they're quite fast cropping, and look at that, oh my god, beautiful turnips. Haven't even grown or cooked and eaten them before. It's not something you can really buy in the shops. And in my squash bed, well, you guys know how much I love my wigwam this year. I've got 6 or 7 of the red curry squash on there, a couple of cucumber plants, and well, the pumpkin, the squash patch even, has suffered a bit with mildew, so I've been cutting some of the leaves back. But look at that one there, already turning orange. That is the Buttercup Squash. We've got about 3 or 4 of those in this bed. I can spot some over there, hold on. Up here in the corner, look, we've got a pair of twins. One's ripened and the other hasn't. And I've been going around putting little bricks underneath them just to keep them off the soil so that they don't rot, because they might get a bit of a wet bottom which would spread throughout the squash, so we don't want that. And this bed is a little bit mixed at the moment. We've got a few squash plants in there, my peas that have gone over. I've been collecting all of the pods to dry them so I can grow them next year. See, that one's nice and dry, although it's a bit wet today, but we'll pull that off and dry it in my shed, protect it from the mice. Oh, yep, we've got lots of beans ready. And then we come to my double dahlia border. And if you're quite new to my channel, it only used to be that border there on the right hand side, but this year I extended it. We've got this section here now as well. So even more room for a big old display of my favourite flower here on the allotment. And this one, the Wizard of Oz, is my absolute favourite. Oh, it's starting to rain again. But we've just got so many blooms. I'm now giving this a weekly or fortnightly feed with a seaweed organic fertiliser, because they're such performing plants. They really work hard. We've got so many colours here. Ooh, that wind's picking up again. And all that beautiful erigeron in the front, some nasturtiums. Yeah, love it. Right, let's go in the polytunnel because it's getting cold and wet again. It's absolutely ram-packed in here at the moment with tomatoes and all my chilies. I did move some outside, but I've brought them back in again because it's really cold at the moment, and with the cold nights forecast for the weekend, I don't want them struggling. So I've moved them in to help keep them warm with all my tomato friends. We've got lots more to pick in here, including this full truss of Galena tomatoes, gorgeous yellow colour. Now this fish pepper is the variegated plant. It's probably one of my favourite ornamental chili peppers this year, and the fruits have these amazing stripes on them. I haven't eaten this one yet, so I'm not quite sure what it's like, but I know it varies between 5,000 Scoville and 30,000, so it can get quite spicy. But it's just such an ornamental chili, it's beautiful. I've still got lots of Hungarian hot wax to pick, and I'm going to pickle some more of these, I think. I've already got a couple of jars on the go. I've got lots of Amish paste tomatoes on the way. Slightly orange at the moment, need to wait for them to turn nice deep red. Derby striped tomato is a new one that I'm growing this year. It's a heritage variety, and I just love that pattern on the fruit, although it does lose it a little bit once it's actually ripened, but it's just another new one to try. Now this is the Alma paprika pepper. So this is actually what makes paprika powder. So I need to harvest and dry these and then grind it into a powder, I guess. I haven't looked up the process yet, but I'm really excited to have my own paprika plants growing and to use my own paprika this year. Can somebody remind me not to grow this many chilies next year, because I really cannot move now. But yes, I need to pick some of my tomatoes, but I've actually stopped watering them completely now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that helps to promote the fruit to ripen. It also helps prevent the fruits from bursting. So if you suddenly give your plants a lot of water, or if it rains really heavily, then the fruits burst because of all that water uptake. And I've also stopped the plants from growing anymore because the days are getting shorter, and we don't really want any more flowers because they're not going to develop into fruits. They won't have enough time for our short season here. So by cutting out the growing tip of my cordon tomatoes, that helps to encourage the plant to actually ripen the fruit instead of growing. So I've done that with all of my plants now, so they'll hopefully continue to ripen. Fingers crossed the big B word, that dreaded fungal disease, doesn't come to the polytunnel. So far so good, especially considering we've had such stormy weather. I hope that your plants are doing okay. I know that this weather's not been great for tomatoes, but yeah, they're finally ripening, so I'm going to go pick some now. So here's the plot from the top of the hill at the end of August 2020. It's all looking rather good now. I'm so glad I got my paths wood chipped. It's starting to drizzle with rain again. Autumn is definitely on its way. Well, it's quite a drizzly end to the day, but I've got my crops in and I'm going to head home now, and it's almost September, which means it's time to start thinking about our plots as we go into autumn and winter. And I'm going to be thinking about planting my garlic, thinking about keeping my ground covered with green manures such as field beans, and also it's a time to start preserving. The crops are still going to be coming in thick and fast, and I'll quite often be found in the kitchen preserving lots of chutneys and spreads and relishes and pickling food as well, which leads me on to my recommendation for you this month. It's a book that I recently purchased on the recommendation of my friend Richard, Sharpen Your Spades on Instagram. Thank you, Richard. It's called The Modern Preserver, and it's by Kylee Newton. And it's an absolutely beautiful book, and it's got lots of detailed descriptions on how to make each recipe, and it's also got information with tips and tricks on the method for preserving food and the ingredients and equipment that you'll need. I think there's a lot of fear over canning and preserving your food because of bacteria, but once you know the process, it really is just such a whole new world to discover with your food. I know that I've only been preserving my own food for a few years, but you know, we have to deal with so much glut and so much food all at once, and it's just an amazing way to keep it going for a lot longer and to eat and share your food in the winter months. They make great gifts. So if you're interested in preserving your food, I recommend you check out this book. I'm going to start some of the recipes this weekend because I've got some shallots at home that I'm going to pickle, and I've got lots of chutneys that I can't wait to do as well. Thank you very much for watching and joining me this month. I hope that your crops are coming in thick and fast as well if it's your growing season. I hope that the storm hasn't given you too much damage, especially if you're in America. Is it Storm Laura? It sounds like that's really causing some tragic destruction over in the States, so heart goes out to you if you're struggling with that. But yes, I'm going to take all of my crops home now and have a nice warm cup of tea, and I will see you next time. Thanks again.